everyone. First, I just want to thank Brenda because we met 10 years ago, and when this came up, she came directly to me and said, hey, is this something you'd be interested in? And me, of course, I was like, yeah. So I'm here today, obviously, to share with you a little bit about how I rebuilt my life. Like Brenda said, 10 years ago, I was hurt. A man broke into my house and raped me. The reality is, what really hurt for me was the moral dilemma I was experiencing inside. On one hand, I wanted to have the socially accepted response, to be angry and resentful to the man who seemingly took so much away from me, including my virginity. On the other hand, I knew in my heart that if I allowed that pain and anger to live inside me, I would never be any better off than the man who had attacked me. That night I cried. Not because of what I had just been through, but because of what I realized. When my aunt looked at me and asked me why, I said, I wonder what happened to him that made him do this to me. Recently, I found a study conducted by the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine. It stated 33% of juvenile delinquents and 76% of serial rapists were sexually abused as children. That night, I knew that me being raped had more to do with what Stephen Morales had experienced in his life than it ever had anything to do with me. That study simply gave me more conviction. Now, I know you're all here today to be a part of a solution. And the truth is that violence will continue to exist as long as we react to it. And just like the gentleman who just received the award, I know a lot of you in here work with gang violence. And understand me when I say that violence is a cyclical issue. So if we want a slim chance of breaking that cycle, then it's time we start doing something different. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. So if we want a slim chance of breaking that cycle, then we need to start thinking differently about violence. That means forgiving rape, or any other socially deemed unforgivable crime. Especially if we dare tell a child who just lost a family member to gang violence to not pick up a gun and fight back. Because it is the same thing. It is why violence continues to thrive. And it is why so many people struggle every day to rebuild their lives. Because it is never about fighting back. It is about having compassion for another human being. It is about having gratitude for the challenges that come into our life to give us a lesson. So that is why I chose to forgive him. That day at his sentencing, I understood the true power in forgiveness, because when I looked him in the eye and told him, he started to cry. In that one moment, I wasn't his victim. I wasn't a survivor. And today, if I were to see him again, I would thank him. It is because of that challenge that he gave me that I could help so many other people, and it is why today I stand here in front of you now, an activist for social change. I truly believe that if we as individuals and as a community can start thinking differently about violence, we can create critical mass. Gandhi preached to millions that if we wanted to see change in this world, we had to have the courage to start that change from within. He said, when I refuse to do things that are repugnant to my conscience, I use soul force. So I ask you all here today, right now, I want you to take the first step and tap into your soul force. We all have experienced pain. We've all experienced tragedy in one sense or another. So I ask you all to think of a moment in your life where you experienced pain. I don't want you to judge it. I don't want you to compare it to anyone else's tragedy. I want you to honor what it was to you. Now I ask you all to do like Gandhi asked for us to do. I want you to have the courage to be honest with yourself. What is the lesson that that challenge provided you with? That could take you some time. And when you find it, I encourage you to thank that challenge, because that is how we start rebuilding. Thank you so much for having me here today.